We're going to be learning how to count from 1 to 100 today. Once you get past the teens, it becomes much easier. This is assuming you already know 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, and you're trying to expand your knowledge. You might notice that you see this part of each word, dici, okay? Dici is actually the Italian equivalent of the word teen that we use when we are talking about teens, okay? And you might notice they've actually included dici in 11, they've included dici in 12 as well. 11 and 12 in English don't quite make sense when you think of them as teens, but here Italians have actually included it. So for example, un dici is the equivalent of saying one teen. Do dici, two teen, right? And it is the same for Spanish, it's the same for Italian, un, dos. You can hear that Latin influence in these numbers. You can also see the single digit numbers like quattor or quattro in there. Quin is a bit harder to pick, but other words like sedici or diciassette, you can see the number inside the actual word. So you can see the 7 inside 17, and then you can see the dici, which means teen. This is really helpful when you're trying to remember how to say the teens. Okay, we've moved to the other side of the room and I've put up all the tens up here. The idea is that learning all of these tens will actually teach you how to make every number in between. So for example, if you learn 20, you'd then be able to say every number between 20 and 30, very simply. Much like English, we just want to take the single digit number and put it after this 10. So for example, if I wanted to say 22 in English, I would say 20 and 2, 22. Italian is the same. We would take the word for two in Italian, which is due, and we would just put it at the end. It is that simple, 22. Now, that applies to all of them. If you wanted to say 72, you would learn 70, and you would just put due at the end of 70. If you wanted to say 79, right? You would just take the number 9, and you put it at the end of the 10, that means 70, 70. So 70 would become 79. This is really easy to understand. There is one exception to this. There's one thing that doesn't really follow the pattern, but does have a rule that is to be understood in Italian, and that's that Italians hate having two vowels next to each other. There are two numbers in Italian that start with a vowel that we need to be aware of, and that is the number 1 and the number 8. So if I wanted to take any of these tens and turn into a number that the second number is 1 or 8, I would have to drop one of the vowels. So for example, let's pretend I want to say 41 over here. So I take the number 41 and I write it at the end of the word that means 40, which is quaranta. And I want to say 58. So I write the word for 8, which is otto in Italian. You notice these two vowels side by side, A and U. In Italian, all they do is they drop the A at the end of the 10 whenever they're saying a number that has 1 or 8 after it. So instead of this being 41, it now becomes 41. Instead of this being 58, it becomes 58. Italian is all about flow. Italians don't like stopping to say another vowel, or they don't like two vowels next to each other because it would just sound a little bit gross. You don't want to be saying 41. It's 41. It just sounds better, rolls off the tongue. This also applies to the hundreds. If you were to say 109, you would just say cento and then nove. Okay? It is that simple. You just got to learn these tens after you know your teens and your ones, and you can pretty much say any number. You could even really go up to 1,000. You could put in front of cento, you could put novecento, right? So here's the word cento there. Let's pretend nove. Just put that there, excuse the marker sound. Novecento literally means 900. It is the same thing that we do with English. We just take one number and another number, we put it in front or after it to mean something. If nove was on the other side, it would be 109. Okay, so it's all about placement. If you get these tens down, you are the majority of the way there to learning the rest of your Italian numbers. Have fun.